In the first week of February, Uranus turns direct. Is there an area of your life where you feel a little bit stuck in a rut, like you're doing things as you've done them before, perhaps a bit unoriginal or even inauthentic? Where do you need to wake up? What is your truth, your inspiration? Uranus in astrology is the awakener, the innovator, the progressive thinker, the disruptor. It's turning direct in the sign of Taurus this week, and wherever that lies in your chart, that area of life is going to get a shake-up. Hello everybody, welcome to this video. My name is Fiona of sunandmooncalendar.com. I make calendars like this one for Australia and for New Zealand, or Aotearoa. But the astrology I'm talking about in this video is for the whole world, and as Uranus turns direct, that will be affecting us everywhere. It'll just change in time within about 24 hours. So it's turning direct in the sign of Taurus. It's the last time in our lifetimes, unless you are still alive in 84 years time, and some of you youngsters might be. And then when it turns direct, you know, it's going to go through Taurus for that last few months until it goes into the sign of Gemini, and then we've got 7 years of Uranus in Gemini. We've just finished, we're at the end point of Uranus having 7 years in the sign of Taurus. So this video is about these last few months and the extra energy that comes about as it turns direct. It's been retrograde for a few months and it's turning direct, and at that point of turning direct can bring more of that Uranus energy out, like awakening, disruption, shocking news, shocking developments, or just we want to feel free, we want to break out, we want to rebel against something, we want to wake up, we want freshness and newness. So we're going to talk all about that in this video. I'll explain first of all what Uranus represents in astrology, the dates involved, the connection to the mini-trine, because that's a really important combination over these current few years. We'll look at what Uranus is like in Taurus, and as a preview, what Uranus will be like in the sign of Gemini, and then do a sign-by-sign breakdown of what you might expect as Uranus turns direct in the sign of Taurus. So let's go. So here we go. I'm going to talk about Uranus stationing direct in the sign of Taurus. And so I'll start with Uranus in astrology, the dates involved, Uranus in the sign of Taurus, what that's been like and will be like for another few months. Uranus retrograde, that's what we're coming out of. Uranus direct, that's what we're going into. And then Uranus and the mini-trine. All right, so Uranus stations direct, so it's on in the lunar month of Capricorn in the Sun and Moon calendar. That is the Australian calendar there. Here is a New Zealand one, and up the top there are the words that are used to describe that particular event. Uranus stations direct at 27 degrees of Taurus. Embrace change. How can you live freely and authentically? All right, and it's going to be direct until September. Okay, so what the planet Uranus represents in astrology. Okay, Uranus is known as the great awakener. It's about thinking outside the box, seeing things from the big picture, so that we get outside of our little lives where we're running around like busy ants, and actually see things from above, like an eagle, or as I used in the calendar, an albatross, or in the Australian calendar, the wedge-tailed eagle. Seeing the big picture and seeing how everything connects, and because of that, Uranus can come up with very innovative ways to put everything together, and it's very logical and rational, but it's outside of the box and very often unconventional. So because Uranus can kind of see through things, it can see through traditional conventions and ways of doing things and see where they're not very good or not very logical or overly sentimental or unfair. And because of that, Uranus will rebel against top-down authority, against hierarchy. Uranus and Aquarius, and because Uranus is the modern ruler of Aquarius, wants things to be equal and things to be shared, the power to be shared, the resources to be shared, everyone to be respected and accepted despite diversity, all right, is one of the most amazing planets, and Aquarius being the sign of Uranus, for accepting diversity, whether that is neurodiversity, gender diversity, cultural diversity, whatever it is, religious diversity even, all right? Uranus, because of caring about everyone and having this egalitarian sense of purpose, will look to pursue solutions to social problems. And this is where that out of the box, progressive and innovative thinking can be amazing, where people with strong Uranus energy, and we've all got Uranus energy, we've all got Uranus somewhere in our chart, so we've all got this somewhere, that ability to come up with solutions that are grand, ambitious, and nobody might have thought of them before. They're a bit different, they're unconventional, and they can actually be really amazing solutions, and they very often involve technology, all right? Uranus embraces technology and is, in astrology, it rules the new technology, the frontiers of technology and machinery and innovative developments, scientific developments, all right, okay? So Uranus is also associated with disruptive attitudes, the people that come along that just, they think in a different way, they put ideas forward and everyone's thinking, what? No, it's not like that. It's never been like that before. But they make us think in unconventional ways and get out of old and tired traditions, okay? What else have I got there? And also, when we have Uranus transits in astrology, things are happening with Uranus where it's kicking off something in our chart, activating something in our chart, or in the chart of the moment, which we've had in the week around Uranus, where we've got, after it turns direct, it's going to be square to Mercury and square to Venus. And so there's likely to be disruption coming into our lives of communication, Mercury, and our lives of, or the digital world, Mercury, and our lives of love, money, relationships with Venus. It brings disruptive events when something sets it off in our charts, all right? People who are ruled strongly by Uranus, like Aquarius rising people or Aquarius sun people, they tend to be friendly and sociable, but there's a reserve. So that Aquarian and Uranus energy is very good for being friendly. They'll talk to anybody. They'll include everybody, and in some ways make everyone feel like they're important because they absolutely believe everyone is important. But they might be a little more reserved or aloof on the one-to-one interpersonal relationships, and it can be harder to get underneath to the deep layers when you're hanging out with a person who's got a strong Uranus vibe or an Aquarius energy about them, all right? And Uranus and Saturn both rule Aquarius, Saturn being the traditional ruler of Aquarius, Uranus being the modern ruler. A difference between them is that Saturn is about the old and elderly people and getting older and being mature and traditional, whereas Uranus is about the new, the younger generation, the progressive, new, awakening ideas. Okay, let's go on. So Uranus as the modern ruler of Aquarius, excuse me, I'm going to read out my words on there. I've probably already said a lot of this. Awakening, insight, desire for freedom, new ways to do things, new technology, groups of people, humanitarian causes, innovation that solves large-scale problems, equality, fraternity, liberation. Uranus is often associated with rebellion in a country or rebellious attitudes. Okay, all right. Now going on to some key dates. Okay, so Uranus spends 7 years in each sign and takes 84 years to go right around the zodiac. Uranus went into Taurus in 2018-2019, and as you will have been aware, we went into, after that, the COVID era, and it was all that, those disruptions and revelations even about goods and materials and food supplies. So food supplies were disrupted. In New Zealand, we found out that most of the recycling that we were doing, numbers 1 to 6 and all that, they just were shipped overseas. And when the COVID era came along, they couldn't be shipped overseas anymore. And we had to only, from now on, we've only been able to recycle like plastics number 1, 2, and 5 because they are easier to deal with. It was all these revelations, and the truth was coming out with that, but also this disruptions in food supplies, the inflation for goods, all of that. This has been Uranus in Taurus, because Taurus is about material things, it's about food, it's about the earth. All right, Uranus will move into Gemini. Uranus moved into Gemini on the 7th of July 2025, and so this was a preview of what it's going to be like with Uranus and Gemini over the next 7 years. Then Uranus turned retrograde in early September 2025, and it's been in retrograde ever since. It went back into Taurus in November last year. All right, so we're back into that Taurus energy for the last time. And then on the 3rd or 4th of February, Uranus will station direct, and then it's just going to gallop off to Gemini and enter Gemini again late April this year. And then it's going to be in Gemini for the next 7 years. Wow. Okay. And Uranus and Gemini, boy, are we going to be waking up to some stuff, but I'll talk about that a little bit more later. All right, so Uranus and Taurus, let's look a little bit more about that. So we've had, with Uranus, whatever sign it's in, that area of life or that sign is going to have awakening, insight, the desire for freedom, new ways to do things, new technologies, and I should have added in there, truth comes out, because Uranus doesn't care about untruth and inauthenticity. It wants us and the world to be more truthful and authentic. Okay, so that has been affecting on a world level food supplies, goods, financial systems, banking systems. It's been making us think about what we value, land ownership, property matters, the earth, redefining what is wealth, what is stability, what is security, because these are all themes to do with Taurus. Okay, so many people, like my friends and people I know, are thinking about, home ownership has been held so high in New Zealand, Aotearoa, for so many decades. And now a lot of my friends are thinking, should I even own a home? Is that a good security and stable asset to have? That's one way that Uranus and Taurus is shaking up our ideas. Okay, so Uranus will bring about stability versus progress. So Taurus is about stability, Uranus is about progress, and so these two are a bit at odds together, and Uranus and Taurus hasn't been a very smooth ride for Uranus. Okay, all right. Uranus retrograde. So Uranus goes retrograde every year when it's roughly opposite the sun, over the few months either side of being exactly opposite the sun. All right, so while Uranus is retrograde, or as it appears to be going backwards in the sky, it's not really going backwards. But from our perspective on Earth, and however astrology works, I don't get really how, none of us really know how it works, I don't think, but it works. And this is what we find when Uranus is retrograde. When any planet is retrograde, we review things, we revise things, we go back over things, we're having a look back at our attitudes and things that we've done, and we often have to fix things up. But with the outer planets like Uranus, it's a little more internal and rethinking things. All right, so these are the things we will have been revising and reviewing while Uranus has been retrograde in the sign of Taurus. The ways that you question the status quo. So Uranus is all about coming along and questioning the status quo. Do you do that by saying something straight away when you see some old tradition that really has passed its time? Or do you say nothing? Or do you talk to friends about it and try to get a discussion going? Do you write to the newspaper? That's really old-fashioned now, but do you write a blog about it or something? We will also have been, and you will have been, revising your relationship with the digital world and other technology. Uranus is very much about that progressive technology. Reviewing your ideas about community and grassroots movements and organizations that are united by a social cause for justice and equality. You will have been reviewing your ideas about freedom. What does freedom mean? About authenticity. What does authenticity mean? What is truly authentic and original? Certainly AI is bringing up questions about that. And what has become too routine? Are you in a rut? As I mentioned in the intro, Uranus loves things to be fresh and new and keep moving and making progress, and not to be stuck in our old ways and our old artwork and our old clothes, and get things happening that are new and fresh. Okay, so as the planet Uranus turns to move direct, a lot of power is generated by that change of direction. The feelings that were internalized before as it was retrograde, they could be coming out to drive us into action. All right, so now we're going to talk about Uranus turning direct. So we can, once Uranus is direct, move forward with more breakthrough energy and action, these things that we have been reviewing. All right, so original ideas and technology to do with resources and food and food production and caring for the earth. This is all to do with Taurus. Shifts in what we value or our sense of self-worth, that is to do with Taurus. Okay, changes to do with our ideas about stability and security and financial strength. So we've been reviewing all of those, and as Uranus turns direct, we will have a chance to look at them and think, oh yeah, no, I think this now. I realize now that this is my truth, and we can move forward with it. All right? People will often want to break free and do something different, something unconventional, and of course, as I said, there could be disruptions and unpredictable events in general, just with that Uranus energy in the sky and the square with Mercury and Venus, and then soon to be also squares with the Sun and Mars. All right, but also more spontaneity and just suddenly doing things without heaps of planning behind it. That's a fun side of Uranus. So now a little bit of a look at Uranus and Gemini. What is that going to bring us? Okay. I've got such a busy picture for Gemini there. It's a picture of a marketplace. I hope you can see it. Gemini is about neighborhoods and networks, connecting, and Uranus loves this kind of thing because Uranus loves large groups of people. It loves networking. Okay, so Uranus in Gemini is just going to fly, especially as Uranus rules Aquarius, an air sign, and Gemini is an air sign. So thoughts will be flying, ideas will be flying, messages will be flying. Technology and technological developments will be flying around and developing, zing, 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 zipping around. Oh my goodness. We are barely going to be able to keep up. I think there's going to be a lot more quick movement and development with Uranus and Gemini. So I'm going to read out this. So the first two lines are about the Uranus side. See, these are my notes down here. The first two lines are about the Uranus influence, and then the last three lines, a slightly yellow color, that's the Gemini influence. So we're mixing these together with Uranus and Gemini from April this year until 2032-33. All right. Awakening, insight, desire for freedom, new ways to do things, new technologies, communication, all of these new ideas and new progressions in communication, forms of communication, neighborhoods, the ways we talk, the ways we learn, our schooling, transport, social media, the digital world, gadgets, and I didn't have enough room, but I'm going to add to that our travel and transport around neighborhoods, public transport, commuting, our ideas, our thought patterns, our self-talk. They're going to be going through so much development. All right. But I'll talk more about that when Uranus does actually move into Gemini. All right, and now I'm going to briefly look at Uranus and its placement in the mini-grand trine. That is this very strong energy from 2025 last year until next year, and this year 2026 is the biggest year of it, the mini grand trine. So it's not a great view there, but this is from the calendar. So I used it. The mini grand trine at the peak of the triangle is Saturn and Neptune, and they are becoming conjunct in late February. All right, and then on one other corner is Uranus, late Taurus and Gemini, and then the other corner of the triangle is Pluto in Aquarius. It is extremely rare for the outer planets, the very slow moving outer planets, to make this formation of this triangle, and it's helping a whole lot of developments and progressions in technology, communications, community developments, and social movements really progress and develop. And this is even more reason why things are going to be moving so quickly and developing in so many ways, in so many parts of our lives. So I wanted to mention how that was connected with all of this Uranus action. And so, just to say, I'm going to go on now to Uranus, talking about it sign by sign. So as I go through talking about Uranus, direct, sign by sign, in these late degrees of Taurus, what you can be looking out for your sign is to be ready for something fresh and new, and that might be coming up from within you and all this reviewing you've been doing over the retrograde. Or it could be new things, new events coming from the outside world. All right. Try and be ready to be authentic, to see through bullshit. Be ready for new ideas and innovation, and be ready for disruption and awakening. Again, whether that's coming from yourself or from the outside world. So let's start with the sign of Taurus. If you are Taurus, sun, moon, or rising, but especially Taurus rising, Uranus is turning direct on the 3rd or 4th of February, and it will be direct until September, but until April it will be in your sign, Taurus. You've had 7 years of Uranus in your sign, changing you, bringing huge disruptions into your life. making you disrupt your life, making you want freedom, to have a more authentic life, to be living more according to your truth, and not having long times to relax into who am I in the world, what is my identity, even how people see you. You will have been shaking up all the world around you, your relationships, your home life, your career. So that has been Uranus for 7 years in your sign, and now for the last time it's turning direct in your sign. So especially if you are in the late degrees of Taurus, so it's turning direct at 27 degrees. If you have any planets or points, your sun, your ascendant, at that point, this will have even more potency for you, Taurus. Okay, so here are some of the things I thought about you, Taurus, with Uranus turning direct, really coming to that culmination point of the end of the 7-year transit with it direct, Uranus direct, and these last few months, a liberated sense of self and who you are in the world. And this has been building over those 7 years. And as you go into Uranus and Gemini, you will be keeping a lot of that sense of liberation, and those changes that you have made will stick for the best, all right? It's likely that you, again, as Uranus comes out of retrograde, you will in general feel more spontaneous, more bright, ready to do fresh things, and authentic things, all right? To be truthful to yourself, even if that's disrupting and making waves in the world around you. And you may change even more these final few months in ways that affect all of your relationships, your career, your home, your everything, all right? You are, Taurus, somebody who likes stability and continuity and things to be steady and certain. So it hasn't been easy having Uranus in your sign, all right? Uranus is also the ruler of your 10th house of career, so that may have brought about changes in your career, and that could continue until April, all right? And your own ruler, Venus, is in the 10th house of career as Uranus turns direct, so maybe with this turnaround, this direct motion, there could be changes in your career or work that you're doing and your reputation and what you're known for. All the best for that, Taurus. Please like, comment, or subscribe if you like this video, and go to sunandmooncalendar.com to order your Australia or your Aotearoa New Zealand copy of the calendar. If you are Gemini, sun, moon, or rising, Uranus is turning direct for the last time in the sign of Taurus. That is your 12th house. It's turning direct on the 3rd or 4th of February. It will be direct until September. And in April, the end of April, it will be moving into your sign, Gemini, your first house, whether you're sun or moon or rising, but especially rising, that's your first house. And that is really going to be making you change up in the world, change your identity. You're going to get even more crazy with wanting to learn things and curious and trying out things and developing ideas. But right now it's doing its final direct movement through your 12th house. The 12th house is your house of dreams, escaping from the world, being in retreat, being connected to spiritual ideals, and where you're connected to everything, the whole universe, and this vast otherworldliness, not in touch with reality so much. So Uranus has been going through there and maybe shaking up the ways that you escape from the world, the ways that you relax and retreat. This could also be to do with foreign travel. So maybe you've had unexpected trips overseas over the last 7 years, and there could be a final run of this in the next few months until April. All right. So here we go, ideas about Gemini, and sorry, I might have covered some of those up, but I will read them out. All right. So you may have had over the last 7 years, and with the last time of this over the next few months, unusual ideas about your creativity, your artistic, the ways that you express your understanding of yourself and the universe, and your spirituality through art or music or poetry, all right? Unusual ideas about your connections with far off places or unexpected trips, your unusual ideas or unexpected events to do with your spiritual connections, your places of retreat, and your ways to escape. All right, you could have had, and you could have even more so, energizing, disruptive dreams, visions, or intuitive ideas. And I hope that you've had a chance, and you will have a final chance over the next few months to work on unhelpful psychological patterns or patterns of behavior that undo you, that are not good for you, that are from your karmic past. And maybe if there's still stuff to work on, which there always is, of course, you're a human, working on these in unconventional ways or ways that you haven't done before could be really helpful over the next few months. So all the best for that, Taurus. A 12th house energy, I'm just going to mention a crazy dream I had the other night. I had a dream, because I've got a lot of 12th house energy at the moment because the stellium in Aquarius is in my 12th house. So it's not quite the same as you. I had a dream about a crayfish sitting on top of the wall in the bathroom by the shower. And I think it was because I hadn't been looking after my HRV system, or the, this part of the house that cleans the air. And it made me realize I really cared about that, and I needed to look after the house better. But the crayfish, and then the next day we met somebody who was looking after crayfish, and I still need to do a little bit more exploration into the meaning of that dream. These are the kinds of dreams that you could get, just something that's out of the box, unexpected, but it could have a strong message for you. So good luck with that, Gemini. Please like, comment, or subscribe if you like this video, and go to sunandmooncalendar.com to order your copy of the Australia or the Aotearoa New Zealand calendar. Oh, I will mention also, Uranus rules your 9th house, Gemini. So you're also thinking more about spirituality anyway, because the 9th house is about spiritual belief systems, and your own ruler, Mercury, is in the 9th house. So I think you'll also be thinking even more about foreign travel, because that's to do with the 12th house as well, and belief systems and religion, spirituality. So good luck with that. Okay. If you are Cancer, Sun, Moon or Rising, but especially Cancer Rising, on the 3rd or 4th of February, Uranus will be direct in your 11th house, the sign of Taurus, until April. Uranus is direct until September, but in April it's going to move into Gemini, and we'll talk more about that later. In the 11th house, Uranus has been for 7 years, shaking up this house, the 11th house, of your group connections, your friendship groups, the groups of people that you belong to because there's something that you have in common, like a social cause or an activity that you do together as a friendship group. It's also about your long-term goals, your dreams for the future, and how you are working towards those goals. It's the 11th house is also about the rewards and that you get from work, whether in the form of income or status or other perks from your career. Okay, so Uranus has really been shaking up these areas for the last 7 years while it's been in Taurus. And you may have found that you've changed your friendship groups, that some friendship groups that you've been with for such a long time, you think, I'm not actually really into this crowd. I don't find them authentic enough, or they're a bit boring. They're a bit too conventional. I want something more fresh, more energizing, more original. And so you may have been changing up your friendship groups. You may have changed your goals in life. All right. So let's see what I wrote about you. So in the next few months, before Uranus moves into Gemini, so up till April, this is this final chance for you to make these changes and do this awakening in that 11th house. So you might join a new club or a friendship group that's a little bit more quirky, unconventional. You might start being more spontaneous with your friends, more active, and more progressive in your ideas and your conversations. You might start to take action on a life goal in a way that is more unusual or unconventional. You might use a new technology or more progressive technology and innovate more. And there might be changes in your income, changes in these rewards from your career, more recognition in your career or your colleagues. Or it could be that you're feeling what you're getting out of your career is not enough, and you might want to therefore make some changes in it. All right. When Uranus was in my 11th house, I was living overseas, so that was different anyway. I was meeting people, groups of people from many different walks of life, from different cultures, different continents. That I was living in London, so there's so many different cultures represented there, and I was working with them, and sudden opportunities came up. All right, so this is a kind of thing that could happen, but disruptions as well. All right. Uranus is the ruler of your 8th house, and so it could be that there's some changes in the money, shared resources with your partner, or even this could bring up some deeper psychological questions and exploration of your patterns, and it may be good to look at those in a more unconventional way, to do a different kind of perhaps therapy or way of approaching healing work that you haven't done before. Think outside the box. All right. And your own ruler is the moon, and just before we have the Uranus becoming direct, the moon will be a full moon in your 2nd house of money and possessions and earnings and your sense of self-worth. So that could bring some kind of culmination point there, Cancer. If you are Leo, sun, moon or rising, but especially Leo rising, on the 3rd or 4th of February, Uranus is stationing direct in the sign of Taurus for the last time, and it will be moving through Taurus until April, when it moves into Gemini. All right. The 10th house for you, Leo, is your career. All right. So Uranus over the last 7 years has been shaking up your career, your status, your reputation, bringing disruptions, bringing a desire within you to make things fresh and more authentic, more original, more unconventional perhaps, or the events that have happened have brought these to you. And I hope that you're feeling like that's been good for you, Leo, because you know you are a fixed sign and you can tend to like things to stay the same, but Uranus does not allow for that. All right, so with this Uranus turning direct in the late degrees of Taurus and then moving through those final degrees until it moves into Gemini in April, there might be this final time of change with your career, a final time where you are coming out of this review period, ready to make some changes, or some changes happen to you in your career. All right, so let's look at this. New unconventional ideas about your career, and you start taking action on them, possibly even change your job or career. All right. Questions about how you define success and what is your legacy. You've been reviewing those over the retrograde, and now you might be ready to take action and make some changes in view of those different ideas about success and legacy. All right. And there could have been and will be disruptions in your work or career, and these could come from, you know, when you get some new person comes along with progressive ideas that are disruptive, and you want to keep things the same, the way we've always done it, and these new ideas, they're progressive. They're probably bringing in new technology. It's happening all around us, of course, and maybe you embrace that. Maybe you question it because you want things to be authentic and worthwhile, but nevertheless, these energies are going to be about in your career, the new ideas, the progressive thinking, the new technologies. All right. Uranus is the modern ruler of your 7th house of partnerships and relationships and business partners. So there could be some connection with your own partner, if you have one, or with a business partner. Perhaps they're the one who's bringing in these new ideas, all right? And your own ruler, the sun, is in your 7th house of partnership. So certainly there's a partnership energy involved in this as well. All the best for it, Leo. Please like, comment, or subscribe if you like this video, and go to sunandmooncalendar.com to order your copy of the Australia or the Aotearoa New Zealand calendar. Bye for now. If you are Virgo, sun, moon, or rising, but especially Virgo rising, Uranus is turning direct on the 3rd or 4th of February, and it will be in the sign of Taurus until April, and then it will still be direct. It will be in the sign of Gemini after that. But this is your 9th house, so you are an earth sign, Virgo, and you've got the 9th house as Taurus, another earth sign, and you're the 9th house is a happy house. You know, it's a house of opportunity and adventure and exploration and expanding your horizons. And Uranus in that house over the last 7 years will have been requiring you to expand your horizons and explore new ways of understanding the world spiritually, philosophically, understanding the philosophy of life, bringing new ideas in that regard, the higher meaning of life, and travel. So I hope that you have benefited from some travel with that. And if it's not travel, it might be new ideas about the way that life works. All right. And for the last few months, from now until April, as Uranus moves directly through that could be bringing a last burst of changes, disruptions, and opportunities that are awakening and helping you get to greater authenticity about your belief systems, about the higher learning that you're doing, or about the travel that you're doing. So let's see what I wrote. New or liberating ideas about beliefs, religion, the philosophy of life. Innovative spiritual practices. So actually the practices where you apply your belief systems in the way that you do daily life, those may have changed and maybe will change again as Uranus turns direct. You might make a sudden travel booking spontaneously. You might have, I didn't mention this, but you could also benefit from connections with other cultures. And the other cultures, or especially people from far distant lands, this could be kind of awakening for you. It could just like wake you up to different ways of seeing the world and doing things. That can be one of the greatest benefits of travel or with connecting with people from other cultures. And you might just suddenly out of the blue sign up to do some higher level study. All right, whatever it is, I think it will feel right, fresh, authentic. It might be disruptive, but liberating and awakening. You might surprise yourself or others. Uranus is the ruler of your 6th house, so there could be a connection with something to do with your daily work, all right? Maybe you get a travel opportunity through work, or maybe an opportunity to do some higher learning through your work. It's also, the 6th house is also a house of giving service and your daily routines. And this is another reason why you might be bringing in some new kind of spiritual practice, perhaps meditation, something you haven't done before, or doing it in a different way that you haven't before, into your daily routines, your 6th house, all right? And your own ruler is Mercury. That's the ruler of your sign, Virgo. That is also in the 6th house, Aquarius, at the moment. So there's a lot of that energy of the 6th house, which is daily routines, your daily work, how you give service in the world, and also your health. So there could be a connection there as well. All the best for that, Virgo. Please like, comment, or subscribe if you like this video, and go to sunandmooncalendar.com to order your Australia or your New Zealand Aotearoa Sun and Moon calendar. If you are Libra, Sun, Moon, or Rising, but especially Libra Rising, Uranus is turning direct on the 3rd or 4th of February in your 8th house, all right? And Uranus will be moving direct through Taurus, your 8th house, between now and April. The 8th house is your house of your deep psychological layers, your underlying subconscious. It's also the house of shared resources with a partner or partners, business partners, or with your life partner. And it's also a house of doing divination or occult practices. Have I got everything there? It can also be a house of deep intimacy with another, with a partner, all right, where you're going down into the deep and understanding each other from a deep level, all right. Uranus has been going through that 8th house for the last 7 years, disrupting things to do with money, especially investments or large amounts of money that are connected to in your life, but you don't necessarily have easy access to. So that's inheritances, your partner's money, investments, and what else am I going to say? Inheritances, that's the word I was looking for. So there could have been disruptions and changes, and that could come again as Uranus turns direct and goes through the sign of Taurus for the last few degrees of that over the next few months until April. All right. So you also might have found that there's your underlying psychological layers have been stirred up. So there's some psychological patterns or stuff going on in your subconscious, and that gets stirred up. You desire greater truth, authenticity, and things to be real and true and fair. You want things to be fair, especially for you, Libra. You want things to be fair. And Uranus wants things to be egalitarian and equal. All right, so that might come into play, especially where you're talking about resources or the way that power is shared in relationships. Okay, all right, so what I've written here, unusual, innovative ideas about shared resources or money. You might be coming out with those, or they might come from the outside. Spontaneous or unconventional moments of intimacy or intimate connections. I hope that is lovely, Libra. New awakening in the exploration of your underlying psychological layers, your fears and motivations. All right. So Uranus is the ruler of your 5th house, so that might give some extra power to sex and intimacy and freshness in that area. And your own ruler, Venus, is in the 5th house at the time that Uranus turns direct. So there's a lot of 5th house energy. The 5th house is about sexuality, more on the fun side of it and the playful side of it. It's also about children. It's about your artistic expression and the ways that you have fun in the world, your hobbies. So all of this could come into play. Not sure how that connects to the 8th house, but there will be a way that they do. So all the best for that, Libra. Please like, comment or subscribe if you like this video, and go to sunandmooncalendar.com to order your copy of the Australia or the Aotearoa New Zealand Sun and Moon calendar. If you are Scorpio, Sun, Moon or Rising, but especially Scorpio Rising, on the 3rd or 4th of February, Uranus is turning direct in the sign of Taurus, and it will be in that sign of Taurus moving direct until April when it moves into Gemini. And the 7th house is Taurus is your 7th house, Scorpio. That is your house of partnership or relationships, or your partner, whether that is a business partner, whether that's the one-to-one relationships you have with your clients, or whether that is an intimate partner in a long-term committed relationship, or anyone that you're working with or spending time with on a one-to-one basis. Uranus has been going through this house of partnership for the last 7 years, shaking things up, awakening you, making your partner be disruptive, or bringing up disruptive ideas to partnership that might have come from you or might have come from your partner themselves. All right. And as Uranus turns direct, that could come into play again and show up again for the last few months of Uranus being in the sign of Taurus, all right, until it moves into Gemini in April. So still some disruptions in partnership there. So what have I written? There's a desire, either from your partner or from you, to have more authenticity, freshness, freedom, actually, in relationship. Your partner might be playing up, bringing in disruptive ideas that could be to do with your partnership or just about their whole life. They're changing up their life. They're going this way, they're going that way, doing something that's just out of the box. And that, of course, you have to put up with it and find ways to accommodate it if you are to stay in partnership. You could have been working on inhibitions, and you could work on these again between now and April, working on inhibitions in relationship, your false ways of seeing things, sticking to traditions that actually are outdated, outmoded, or unhelpful. Try and break out of those. And of course, while you have Uranus in Taurus, and you may have found this over the last 7 years, you may have attracted to you and still attract between now and April unconventional partners that are not your straightforward run-of-the-mill take them home to meet mum and dad types. They might be a little bit more out there, quirky in some way, and not following the rules in some kind of way. All right, you may also find that your partners are not quite as deep, or the partnership is not quite as deep. It's a little bit more equal, friendly, egalitarian, less like connected on a deep level, but there's a good sense of fairness about it. All right, your ruler is Mars Scorpio, your ancient ruler, and that is in the 4th house, Aquarius, at the moment. And your modern ruler, Pluto, is in your 4th house. So there's a whole lot of energy with that stellium in your 4th house, Aquarius, of to do with home and family of origin. All right, so there might be some kind of connection between all this partnership energy and the disruptive energy there, and whatever is going on with all that focus on your home and family and property and the people you live with and your family of origin, your nuclear family at the moment. So all the best with that, Scorpio. Please like, comment or subscribe if you like this video, and go to sunandmooncalendar.com to order your copy of the 2026 Aotearoa New Zealand or Australia Sun and Moon calendar. If you are Sagittarius Sun, Moon or Rising, Uranus is turning direct on the 3rd or 4th of February, and it will be in the sign of Taurus for the last time in 84 years until April. All right, so it's bringing a final lot of changes. You've had Uranus for 7 years in this house, and Taurus is your 6th house, Sagittarius. The 6th house is about how you give service in the world, your daily work, your daily routines for health, your fitness, your exercise on a daily basis, and your general health and how your general health is doing. And Sagittarius, you may have had some disruptions and shocking discoveries over the last 7 years, and perhaps even still until Uranus goes into Taurus in April. All right, and I hope that that's been okay, but it's always better to know the truth about things. And you may have also been really changing up your daily routine over this time, and you may have been changing up your work, or there's been changes that have come to you into your daily routine or your daily work and how you give service in the world. Mostly, I think, Sagittarius, that's not too hard for you because you are a sign that loves to explore and try new things. So I think that some of those disruptions will be okay. All right, so what I said, with Uranus turning direct in that 6th house, you want freshness in your daily routines. You don't want to do the old things you've been doing for a long time. You want to shake it up and do something fresh and new and enlivening. All right, you've got new ideas, and they're bringing new vitality to you. Maybe new ideas about your health routines or your exercise routines. And you've also got new ideas about your daily work and how you give service in the world. All right, so you might be shaking things up in the workplace with some innovative, progressive ideas, or there might be someone else in your workplace doing that, one of your colleagues, or it's coming from management or whatever. You've got to do things in this more progressive way. You've got to use this new technology, this new software, this new AI software, whatever it is. Okay, and you got to go with it, and it will bring you towards more progression. But also be authentic. If you think something about it, say it, Sagittarius. All right, and take care of your health, because Uranus, it can bring some changes. All right. Uranus is the ruler, the modern ruler of your 6th house. That's Aquarius. It's the modern ruler of your 3rd house. All right. And the 3rd house, so that might have some connection to this. And the 3rd house can be to do with who you're talking to on a daily basis, your neighborhood connections, and commuting around the neighborhood. So this might play out in some way in your daily routines. All right. And your own ruler, Jupiter, is in the 8th house, all right, and it's in the sign of Cancer at the moment. So maybe there'll be some looking at your psychological health and the underlying layers of psychology that can affect your health and your daily routines as well. So all the best for that, Sagittarius. Please like, comment, or subscribe if you like this video, and go to sunandmooncalendar.com to order your copy of the Aotearoa or the Australia Sun and Moon Calendar. If you are Capricorn, Sun, Moon, or Rising, but especially Capricorn Rising, Uranus is turning direct on the 3rd or 4th of February for the last time in the sign of Taurus, and it will be in that sign of Taurus in direct motion until April. The 5th house, Taurus rules your 5th house, Capricorn. That is your house of romance and hobbies and playful fun, expressing yourself from your heart in artistic ways or in ways where you take leadership in a hobby or something. And it's also the house of your children. All right, it's a lovely house of playful fun and romance. Okay, so over the last 7 years, Uranus has been in that 5th house of yours, bringing disruption, bringing awakening, bringing new ideas, originality. And Capricorn, you're a sign that likes things to be traditional, things to be steady, and Taurus is like this as well. You like things to be sensible and building for the future, and you do like traditional things. You are conservative, and Uranus, wherever it goes, it's going to be bringing up the progressive ideas, the new ways of doing things, and requiring that we question traditions and try to be authentic with what we're doing. All right, so all of this might have been playing out, this kind of energy, this awakening energy, disruptive energy in that 5th house of hobbies and fun and playfulness and romance and your children. All right, and as Uranus turns direct, there could be a burst of some kind of disruptive event, or that desire for freshness and authenticity in any of those areas. Okay, let's have a look at what I wrote. So you will be wanting, even more so as Uranus turns direct between now and April in your 5th house, spontaneity, freshness, even adventure in your fun and in your play. You may be dating people who are a little bit unusual or unconventional. Your children might do wild and random things, like get some maybe what you see as an inappropriate tattoo or piercing, and there could be for you, Capricorn, and from you, led from you, or new ideas coming from the outside about innovation and experimentation in your hobbies and creative expression. All right. Uranus is the modern ruler of your 2nd house of money and possessions and earnings. And so there could be some kind of connection between these, like maybe an entrepreneurial project that could come from 5th house, a 5th house hobby or creative expression, artistic expression that you decide to make money out of. And your own ruler is Saturn, and that is in your 3rd house of Pisces. And there could be therefore some kind of connection with your neighborhood or community, or local learning, or doing local courses, or even teaching some local classes, or taking some courses so that you're learning or developing your hand skills in a craft or something. All right, so all the best for that, Capricorn. Please like, comment, or subscribe if you like this video, and go to sunandmooncalendar.com to order your copy of the 2026 Australia or Aotearoa New Zealand Sun and Moon calendar. If you are Aquarius, Sun, Moon, or Rising, but especially Aquarius Rising, on the 3rd or 4th of February, Uranus is turning direct, and that might be bringing some disruptive events and some feelings of freshness and awakening between now and April. That will be in the sign of Taurus. That is your 4th house, your house of home and family, your family of origin, your ancestry, and the house that you live in, properties that you own, and the people that you live with, Aquarius. So for 7 years, you've had Taurus going through this sign of home and family. One of my family members is an Aquarius sun, and she has changed her home. She moved to a different island. She moved in with a family member, and then the family member sold the house to her, and she's made an Airbnb out of it. She's done so many fresh new things. And Aquarius, Uranus is your ruler, and you love some of this unconventional thinking, the new ways of doing things, the originality, the freshness of it. So that's pretty cool. And let's have a look at what I wrote. So you can expect, with Uranus turning direct in the sign of Taurus, changes in your home, your property, your family of origin, just to add to the changes that have already been developing over the last 7 years. Be more daring, be more authentic with your decorating at home, you're making connections with family and property ownership ideas. And then also, because the 4th house is also about your private emotional life. All right, how do you look after your own emotions, your sense of security and emotional safety, Aquarius? Aquarius, sometimes I think a challenge for your sign is to get down into those deeper emotions. You can be a little bit reserved with that, and I do encourage you with this final chance with Uranus in your 4th house to see if you can think about your emotional safety and ways that you can preserve that sense of emotional safety. And some of that might be the need to share your emotions with others, to find people who are safe to share your emotions with. All right, your ancient ruler is Saturn. All right, so Uranus is your modern ruler, but Saturn is your ancient ruler. That is in your 2nd house, and it's just having a last maybe 1 month, less than a month, 2 weeks in your 2nd house, and that is about your sense of self-worth and how you value yourself. And I think this is an extra reason to be looking at your emotional well-being and how you look after yourself, Aquarius. So all the best for that. Please like, comment, or subscribe if you like this video, and go to sunandmooncalendar.com to order your copy of the 2026 Sun and Moon calendar for Australia or for Aotearoa New Zealand. If you are Pisces, Sun, Moon, or Rising, but especially Pisces Rising, Uranus is turning direct on the 3rd or 4th of February, and it will be in the sign of Taurus until April, and Taurus rules our 3rd house, Pisces. I am a Pisces rising, all right? So the 3rd house is about our neighborhoods and communities. It's about how we move around the neighborhood, walking, biking, and also driving. So your daily commute to work could come under here, just going down to the shops and all of that. It's also about social media and digital connections, any kind of communications. And it's also about siblings, brothers and sisters. Over the last 7 years, Uranus has been bringing disruption and awakening and just new developments that just come out of the blue and can feel a little bit shocking. That has certainly happened with me, with suddenly I'm doing these videos. I didn't plan to do it. I kind of just ended up doing it out of the blue. It's never something I planned for my life. I've also had my siblings doing things in a different way that's sort of shaken up the family. And what else? my neighborhood has changed, and it is continuing to change in some rather dramatic ways, and I'll maybe talk more about that another time. As we have Uranus turning direct, there could be some more of that, sudden events that change our neighborhood. Also, the third house is about our learning and schooling, whether you're teaching in a local school, or whether you are a student or you're a parent and you take your kids to a local school, or you do some local courses or music lessons or art lessons, courses and things like that. All right. So disruptions there. All right. So more awakening. You want something fresh. You want things to be original, authentic, or disruptions come from the outside. So let's have a look at that. Innovative ideas about small business and marketing. That's all part of the third house. Innovative ideas about local connections, social media, writing and speaking, because the third house is about our communication. There's so much in the third house, it's hard to remember it all. Freshen things up with your local commute or travel if you can. One of the sort of surprising Uranus things that came along to me was a new to me second-hand bike. It's a little more challenging because, it's got those narrow handlebars and I'm a little shaky on it, but I am going to be practicing using that for going to and from work for some of the days I work. Be more authentic if you can, original even, in your conversations with community members and neighbours, all right? Uranus is the modern ruler of Aquarius and Pisces. That is our 12th house. So there could be something where dreams or visioning or some of our escapist tendencies or places of retreat might get involved here. For me, that might be that my father is in a rest home, a care home nearby in my neighbourhood. So I don't know, something might happen in the care home that changes things up there. All right. Our own ruler, our ancient ruler, is Jupiter. That's in the 5th house. So this could go really well with the writing and speaking because the 5th house is about creative self-expression, and just before Uranus turns direct, we've got the full moon in Leo. That's also about creative expression. And our modern ruler, Neptune, has just moved into the sign of Aries, like last week. It's very new. That's our 2nd house of earnings and positions and our resources. So any of these ideas about small business and marketing could bring some awakening and new ideas also in our 2nd house. All right, so all the best, Pisces. Please like, comment or subscribe if you like this video, and go to sunandmooncalendar.com to order your copy of the 2026 Australia or Aotearoa New Zealand Sun and Moon calendar. And if you are Aries, Sun, Moon or Rising, especially Aries rising, on the 3rd or 4th of February, depending on where you are in the world, until April, Uranus will be direct in your 2nd house, all right? And that's the last time in 84 years that you're going to have Uranus in those degrees, all right? Over the last 7 years, you've had Uranus going through that 2nd house of your possessions, your resources, your money, shaking things up, making you wake up to some shocking truths perhaps. Disruptions could have come in to your finances, and you could have been disrupting your finances, like not working for a little while just because you wanted to do something different, or new income streams that could have come to you, and it's been shaky in a way that could have been really enlivening, bringing greater originality and authenticity to your finances, but disruption. All right, so, and with Uranus turning direct, there could be a little bit more of that, especially between now and April. So let's have a look at this. Finances and earnings. What new ideas do you have? It is time to innovate. Think about any changes that have happened over the last 7 years and what you value. And as you come out of the retrograde, think about what you value. What action can you take? Do you want to change some of your resources and possessions? Are there some that are not serving you in some way anymore? Is it time for a big clean out and a big shake up, and change out that old sofa and go to the second-hand shops and find a completely different one that's a really wild color maybe even, and bring that into your house. But also on a deeper level, your sense of self-worth. That has likely taken some shaking up and some disruption over the last 7 years, and you may have questioned the ways that you thought of your self-worth and the value that you placed on yourself over the last 7 years. There's one person in my mind who is an Aries rising, and he has certainly had some big challenges to his sense of self-worth and how he valued himself in the world, and he's had to make some changes because of it. And as you come out of Uranus retrograde, there could be, and Uranus starts going direct, so maybe you look at these ways that you've been reviewing your sense of self-worth and you think, okay, I need to value myself by changing some of these ways that I am in the world, that I behave in the world, and the things that I'm doing. So all the best for that. It could feel very liberating. Maybe you might change the ways and the money that you're spending on clothes and adornments and possessions. And I'll also mention Uranus is the ruler, the modern ruler of Aquarius, and that's your 11th house Aries, and that is also to do with your earnings from work, or your income from work, and your long-term goals, and also the groups of people that you belong to. So you could instigate, or you could be on the receiving end of changes in any of those areas as well. And your own ruler is Mars Aries, and that's currently in the 11th house as Uranus turns direct. So definitely quite a lot of 11th house energy there. So as I said, groups of friends and friendship groups that you belong to, or groups of people that you belong to because there's a common cause together, or organizations with people. Also your long-term goals and the rewards that you get from your work. Could be changes there. So all the best for that, Aries. Please like, comment or subscribe if you like this video, and go to sunandmooncalendar.com to order your copy of the 2026 Sun and Moon Calendar for Australia or for Aotearoa New Zealand. There we go. That is all about Uranus and Taurus for the last few months of its 7-year journey through there, turning direct on the 3rd or the 4th of February, and bringing some final disruptions and awakening, refreshing energy to the Taurus part of your chart. All the best for that, everyone. Please go to yesterday's video, which has the week's transits one by one and gives an overview of the week if you'd like to know more about what else is going on this week. And please like, comment or subscribe if you like this video. All the best for Uranus and Taurus for the last time in most of our lifetimes.